Hello all, welcome to Central Park. So this beautiful park is over 160 years old, so there's always obviously tons of ongoing maintenance needed. The building we're looking at here is the 1870 Dairy. This is currently the park's kind of main visitor center and gift shop. Now this beautiful Victorian building was restored a few years ago, and people were kind of upset that they restored a building that obviously is one of the park's visitor centers, the main one, and did not put in public restrooms. This is an amazing park, but one of its flaws is that public restrooms are few and far between. So that has been corrected just across the way here with this just completed restoration project. So the building we're going to go to here is the Chess and Checkers house in this little corner of the park around the dairy and other structures, which is called the kind of children's corner of the park. So the Chess and Checkers house itself, the building we're gonna see, dates back to 1952 and obviously operates just as what it says it is, a chess and checkers house. And they did a bunch of restoration work, which I'll point out, including redoing these steps here and adding railings and making the building ADA compliant with this new ramp. So we're gonna take the new ramp up here. So people were thrilled, just an aside, that when they began last year the restoration of this beautiful 1952 structure, that it was going to include public restrooms, as that is something that the park can always use more of. For better or worse, when they've done a variety of restoration work over the decades on the dairy, there just really isn't room in there for it, but they were able to find room in here. So also part of this restoration is this brand new structure, which is kind of a recreation, a modern recreation of one of the park's original rustic structures that would have been up on this hill, that would have the original version designed by Calvert Vaux, one of the kind of co-architects of the park. Now, if you'd been up here to the Chess and Checkers house in previous years, you know that one of the things they had on the outside here were, of course, chess/checkers tables. They've got new ones out here, and again, some of these beautiful new wooden benches just completed in recent months. So we'll make our way in here. So as you can see, there are restrooms in here, which is great. A men's room, women's room, and a kind of single occupancy, gender neutral bathroom. Although all single occupancy bathrooms are gender neutral, which we kind of all understand. They also recently redid this ramp here, which leads from the back end to the Chess and Checkers house out to this part of the park's center drive. When deliveries and stuff like that are made to the Chess and Checkers house, they would usually be made from this end over here. So this was a great project that was kind of long overdue, and I'm really glad to see this be completed, and I'm really glad to see that people are out here enjoying it, even on kind of a very overcast day. So we are here at the Central Park Lake. You can see up there in the distance, that is the Boathouse, and you can see some boaters out here on the lake. So we're going to make our way toward the Boathouse, and I'll tell you a little bit of what's happened in the last 9 months here. And we are here obviously at beautiful Bethesda Terrace on a very kind of overcast late June day. So the Boathouse over there, that dates back to the 1950s. Now, there had been a demand for a boathouse since the park first opened because of the boating activity. The original boathouse was built in the 1870s. By the time you got to the kind of post-World War II era, that original building was in significant state of disrepair, so it was entirely basically rebuilt in the 1950s so that you could have a bigger boathouse. But one of the main reasons, kind of commercial reasons, was besides the boat rentals, this 1950s building operates as an additional restaurant for the park, which was a fantastic addition and benefit to this little corner of the park here. Now, the Boathouse made a lot of news, most of which kind of misinterpreted the news last fall, specifically October, when a lot of headlines went around stating that the Boathouse was permanently closing. This was a complete misread of what was happening. So the Boathouse, like Tavern on the Green or Woolman Rink or some of the other kind of amenities in the park, these are buildings and kind of structures and space that are owned by New York City and the Parks Department. So they are city property, but like any building or restaurant, that property is leased out to a company who manages and operates, in this case, the restaurant and the boat rental concessions, and the city gets their monthly kind of lease, and that company obviously is running a private business. They collect all the profits, etc., etc. You all know how businesses work. So the company that had for a long time, been managing the Boathouse announced that when their lease was up at the end of October of last year, that they were not going to renew. They were going to leave. Their reasons were inflation, food costs. They didn't feel in their minds that it was profitable to be running a restaurant in New York City. So they decided they were going to close. Decision was made very kind of late. So the Parks Department and the city didn't really have a kind of backup plan yet for who was going to take over the space. So all of these kind of erroneous news headlines indicated that this Boathouse was going to permanently close. That's was a kind of silly read of the situation. It took the Parks Department, months. And then there were also some cynics who understood that it would reopen, but said, oh, it's going to be years. It's going to be years. It only took several months for them to locate a new vendor, Legends Hospitality, which manages restaurants and concessions at One World Trade Center and other New York City attractions. So they agreed to take over the space. They did want to kind of modernize the restaurant, so they spent several months kind of renovating it. The boats were repainted, some stuff like that. And just about a week or so ago, the Boathouse here did reopen, including this back section here, which is the kind of takeaway snack bar for people who don't want the kind of full service restaurant that you can access in here. A lot of this looks like it's still being worked on, but the snack bar and the boat rentals are reopened, and full service for the Boathouse should be resumed very, very shortly. Here's what the kind of basic food menu is. Obviously, this is a kind of slightly, like, I guess, lower end restaurant than the famous Tavern on the Green on the western end of the park, but still a great little restaurant if you're looking for a nice little lunch here. And I'm just going to loop us around to show you where you would enter for the Lake Room and Garden. The Lake Room and Garden is a kind of private event space that is part of this 1950s building. It's often used for weddings. It's been featured in a lot of television shows and movies, corporate parties, things of that nature. And that's kind of back over here, as you can kind of see. There's still work being done back here, but the Boathouse did not close permanently. It has reopened, as has the Chess and Checkers House. The park does very well through the kind of cooperation of the private Central Park Conservancy and the New York City Parks Department. Just millions and millions and millions of private dollars flow into this park every year and continue to keep it beautiful, open, and both modernizing while respecting the kind of original 19th century vision of the park. So if you are coming to the park, you're looking to rent a boat or just have a kind of nice meal here at the Boathouse, rest assured it is open again. So we'll see you here soon.